You don't smell like you've had a bath in a while.
I had a chat with Kato. He says not even Kikoro can save you. Why did you do it? Thank you.
I see no reason why we have to leave you in there. You may be waiting to be exiled, but they will never let you live. You're too dangerous. So, do you want to get out of here? Anywhere but here. There's no way I will let you go alone, honey. You're the only husband I haven't murdered. Yet.
You know I'd come with you in the blink of an eye. If it weren't for my family. This hero's adventuring days are over. I'm sure you will understand.
My place is by your side. That I owe to my Magister.
I will come with you. I was planning to leave Rome already. And wherever we go from here, I will be happy for your company.
I was hoping you'd say that.
All right, let's start some trouble.
The story of the selfless savior of Rome has long since passed into legend. It is easy these centuries later to forget that in his time he was regarded as a criminal and forced to flee Rome with his friends to escape execution. We are more familiar with his legacy, the towering example of loyalty and righteousness that he came to represent in the years following his exile. He was a servant of Rome, who rose time and time again to defend the Republic in war and in politics. It was only at the very end, when the lives of his closest friends were threatened, that he turned his back on law and tradition. The example he set for his fellow Romans has endured to this day. It is said that he went on to become a wandering adventurer, an explorer of foreign lands. Stories appear in legends throughout the provinces of a band of traveling heroes who fought oppression and injustice wherever they went. It is widely believed these stories chronicle the life of the savior of Rome following his exile. But that is another kind of story for another time. Cynaros. Once he had been an athlete, a wrestler, and a troublemaker. But in our story, he was a servus, a protector, and a mentor. He had died diligently performing the task to which he had devoted himself, protecting his ward. Cynaros was given a tomb in Rome's finest cemetery, next to his old dominus, whose death had incited this story. Though his death had been unexpected, he met his end with dignity and resolve. He had received forgiveness and, after a fashion, vindication for the mistakes of his youth. He was missed by all those who knew him. When his friends left Rome, Caeso stayed behind in the city to settle down with Lucia and their daughter. Though their relationship was distant at first, the shared love they felt for their daughter soon brought them close, and eventually they had more children together. To his surprise, Caeso took well to the quiet life and to fatherhood. And on the few occasions when he did feel that old lust for adventure bubble back to the surface, he would leave Rome for a time and visit his friends in exile, who were always glad to see him. Even though it began in exile, Callida's second marriage turned out considerably better than her first. Away from the rigid society of Rome, she flourished with her new husband. Together they traveled far and wide, and had many more adventures, until they found a place they liked enough to settle down. Callida was happy to find that it was possible to be a wife and a mother without giving up the things she loved. She taught their children archery and horseback riding, and nobody ever again looked down on her for her unwomanly pursuits. Bestia returned to Africa to look for his sister again. Eventually he did find her, and together they returned to Mauritania, where they settled down in an idyllic village and started new families of their own. In this new, quiet life, Bestia learned the true value of happiness. Deianira followed her friend into exile. Rome had never quite lived up to her expectations, and she was glad to leave it behind. Eventually, she returned to her homelands of Servia, where she reconnected with her family. But she always remained in contact with her friends, visiting frequently with new stories and exotic spices from distant lands. Vitellius Scaevola left Roman politics and moved to Upper Latium with his wife Lewiana, where they raised their children together in peace. Cato remained an important figure in Roman politics, grudgingly respected even by those among the population who desired change. He remained a defender of the patrician class, a shield against the pandering and opportunism of more populist voices. He himself was elected consul twice throughout his life, and his years in the position were generally favorably regarded. Cicero served one more year as consul before his retirement. In his old days, he lived a quiet life on a farm in Sicily, where he was greatly beloved by the people for his time as quaestor. He continued to write many books on politics and law. With Mithridates dead and his sons lacking his ability to rule, Pontus was soon annexed by Rome. The region never again rose to prominence. With Zenobia in charge of Musia, it became once more a peaceful part of the Roman province of Asia Minor. With her focus on trade and strong ties to the neighboring regions, her people enjoyed a period of great prosperity. Without the leadership of Damianos, the rebellion of his gladiators soon spiraled out of control, beginning what became known as the Servile War. Escaped slaves terrorized the Roman citizens throughout Thracia until the wealthy senator Crassus brutally defeated them and crucified thousands along the road towards Rome. With the death of the pharaoh Ptolemy and Queen Cleopatra, the Ptolemaic dynasty had fallen. Despite the attempts of Rome to hold the nation together under their rule, a bloody war of succession soon arose between various parties claiming to be descendants of the pharaoh. Rome was forced to send its legions to Egypt once again to restore stability by crushing the enemies of the Republic and rule Egypt with an iron fist. With the death of Cleopatra and under the steady guidance of Lunya, Nazarmenes once more became a peaceful and prosperous part of Africa Proconsularis, firmly aligned with Rome. As the eldest and most respected elder of the Berber tribes, Lunya became a singular figure of leadership and respect in the region. She was said to be more than 100 years old when she died. After traveling all across Africa for many years, going wherever her instincts took her, Rhea eventually returned to Memphis and to the service of Tener at the Temple of Ubasti. When her mentor passed away, Rhea naturally assumed the mantle as High Priestess of the Cat Goddess. Though the old faith was dwindling, she was greatly beloved by many, and her temple prospered, always home to many, many, many cats. With Diwydiachus once more assuming rulership of the Aedui, the tribe maintained a strong alliance with Rome, and through it, they greatly prospered. With the aid of the Aedui, Gallia slowly unified under Roman rule, and civilization soon began to creep into those lands in the form of paved roads, aqueducts, and fortified Roman towns. In his old age, did the Druid ever regret hastening the absorption and suppression of his own faith and culture? We will never know. The defeat and death of Vercingetorix had reduced the once mighty Awerni tribe to a myriad bickering chieftains. Without his vision, his charisma, and his resolve, there was no unifying figure to rally around, and no way for Gallia to resist their slow but inevitable assimilation into Rome. Perhaps if Vercingetorix had lived, some of their culture or religion might have survived in some form. But surely they must be grateful that civilization at last was brought to their lands. In this work, I have done my best to recount the history of this fascinating period, truthfully and accurately. As I have scoured the sources and spoken to many who claimed to have heard the story from someone who was there at the time, one thing that has stood out to me is the pivotal moments along the way where our story could have turned out very differently. Might the Legatus and his friends have remained in Rome to influence its politics in the years to come? Perhaps if they had chosen to lead the legion across the Rubicon and lay siege to Rome itself, I believe if such a thing had been done, Rome might no longer be a republic, but rather an empire. One should always take care when second-guessing historical figures with the benefit of hindsight. Here in the present, there will never truly be a way for you to know how you might have acted if you had lived in the past. Nor can you ever be certain how history will remember you.